Hey guys, are you looking for a solo duo or trio base? If so, then stick around and I'll show you how to build one of my personal favorites in Rust. This base comes complete with 2 peak floors, enough box space to last you your entire wipe, and is cheap enough that a small group could finish this thing on wipe day. And even with a cheap build cost, this base houses 4 separate bunkers, bringing the raid cost to approximately 45 rockets. With that said, let me introduce you to the NAUTIX bunker. This base incorporates floor stacking, making top-down raids extremely ineffective, and luckily the floor stack method in this base is super easy, even a new player could do it. Overall, you don't need to have thousands of hours to build this, it's cheap, effective, and insanely strong. Now, let's head into the build tour. Right away, when we head through our first 3 doors, we come to a locker, as well as a new shipping container bunker I've created. These are optional, but if you have the shipping container skin and you want to implement them, they're super useful to hide a little offline loot. Now heading up the ramp and into our core, we have a quick pixel gap for some depot storage. Now as we have a second while we head up to the roof, don't forget, if you like what you see and you want to watch more, let me know by dropping a like and I'll keep posting builds just like this one. We have a little more Dropbox storage up near the roof, and that brings us to our first floor of the peaks. We can also jump up to the second floor using the stone barricades for even more angles. Now heading down on the opposite side, the base is identically symmetrical, so this will lead us back down to the core. Here we have one of our 2 main bunkers. These things are absolutely impenetrable to any sort of explosive or splash damage, and if the bunker's sealed, the only way to get in is to spawn in one of our 2 sleeping bags. In this first one, we've got 9 large boxes, and to open up the bunker, simply demolish the twig above your head. Next, we can spawn in our identical TC bunker, which is on the opposite side of the base. This one houses 8 large boxes and uses the same floor stack bunker. The TC upkeep is on your screen right now. Now getting into the build, I've made this video in different steps to make this as easy as possible to progress throughout your wipe. We'll go ahead and begin by making our floor stack and then building the 1x1 starter. The base will build out to your right, so make sure it's a clear open area, preferably flat. Build in the following 2 square foundations with a roof ramp off the back one. Now with a small box in hand, we're going to find this bent piece of twig along the right side of the ramp, line up your small box with the first line above that piece of twig, and place. Look off to the right and get ready to place a triangle foundation. If you're on console, you may have to find a different way to floor stack, but it is possible. Now throughout this entire process, we're going to be holding Alt and Crouch. Now go ahead and place in your first foundation. Now still holding Alt and Crouch, you can use the keys A and D to move up and down the ramp. And our goal is to get these 2 foundations interlocking together. You'll notice there's a point where they tend to stick right in between. When you feel like you've got it stuck, go ahead and place it in. And now test it by placing walls on top of both foundations. If there's even the slightest gap, as you'll see here, you need to demolish it and try it again from your ramp. What we're looking for is a perfect stack, and this will ensure that there's no issues with our base floor stacking later on. Here's an example of what we're looking for. You can see the 2 walls perfectly blend together. If it looks good, demolish everything but those 2 foundations, and we'll start by building off the raised foundation on the left as shown. If you only have stone, you can upgrade everything, but if you have a little bit of metal, upgrade this outside triangle, just to avoid anyone picking this and ruining our floor stack. Now the inside of your core is really up to you. Feel free to use your own design if you have one preferred, or copy mine. Now when we get some more metal frags, let's begin expanding. As I mentioned in the intro, the shipping container skin is not necessary, but it is useful to have later on as it'll make our life a little easier. You'll see what I mean by that in a bit, but for now, if you have the shipping container skin, go ahead and upgrade to it. A common mistake I see players make when floor stacking is placing a ceiling or floor tile on the wrong level, so watch out for that throughout this video. Here's an example of it right now where I build it on the lower section. This twig roof will be our temporary way up for now, but we can go ahead and demolish that in just a few minutes when we upgrade to the next section. If you have the shipping container skin, go ahead and tuck yourself into this corner, and I'll show you how to place in the small box. If you don't have the skin, you can go ahead and skip this step. We're trying to get it as far into the corner on the left side as possible. Now go ahead and place in a locker. Of course, this applies to all players with or without shipping container. Now this is one of the parts where having shipping container makes things easier because we can upgrade this wall later on. Unfortunately, if we just have the normal metal skin, we won't be able to reach this wall. So again, if you don't have the skin, before you seal this off, go ahead and upgrade this back wall to either metal or HQ. Be very careful here, making sure you're placing these on the upper layer of the floor. Also make sure these two are the same height. Sometimes you'll see that the frame has been placed on the upper layer, so make sure they're on the same level on the lower one. When sealing off the roof, it'll all be on the lower layer of the floor stack. And from this point on throughout the base, I'll assume that you've researched garage door, so you'll see me start using them throughout. Whatever level of workbench you may be on, place it on this back wall here, as well as some upstairs bags. I'm going to pick these double doors up a few steps early. We'll eventually replace them for garage doors when we build in the second layer of our core. For now, let's go add some honeycomb. Since we can't honeycomb this back side of the base just yet, we're just going to upgrade this back wall as well as the foundation to metal, just because this is a direct route into our bunker and we don't want anyone raiding into this. At this point, let's do a few metal upgrades in the core of our bunker, starting with just the foundations. Also, I'll place some garage doors down here in our TC room. Notice that I'm placing the rollers out from the triangle above our heads, and this makes sure that we can still build in the bunker later on. You can still test this right now. A quick note on why we have these frames at our feet. Number 1, for stability, and number 2, so we can replace this garage door if it happens to get broken in a raid. One of the downsides to floor stacking for sure, but definitely something necessary. By the way, the reason we're upgrading these 2 wall frames to metal is to make it as easy as possible to place down the 4 boxes at our feet. Just a reminder again that if you don't have shipping container, this back wall needs to be upgraded before you seal off the roof. Now we want to avoid any frames getting stuck in our roof once we floor stack all of this, so I'm picking up all these garage doors and we're going to replace them after we add in the second layer. Also, when you replace them, make sure they're facing in towards the triangle so your roller doesn't get stuck in the roof. Now I'm gonna speed run this side as you guys already know how to build this. It's essentially the exact same layout as the other half of the base, but just inverted. Lastly, I'm going to remove this garage door here, just because it's going to get stuck in the roof once we floor stack this later. Next, we'll do a few upgrades from earlier, and don't forget to upgrade and rotate the wall as well if they're guarding one of your two bunkers like these two. Be very careful when placing in these frames, make sure they're on the upper layer of the floor stack. Here's another annoying thing about the default metal skin. If you have it, you won't be able to place in these floor frames, which is really annoying, but it will not change any structural integrity of the base. Your bunkers will work just fine. I'll place in an armored door on each side of our loot rooms just like this. This is because the door actually fades into the roof, and we don't want any garage doors getting stuck. Whenever you're ready to upgrade your workbench in this main room, go ahead and pick up everything, and we're going to add the floor stack in here as well. Now it's time for a few upgrades in our secondary bunker. Remember to keep your garage door rollers facing out from this middle triangle. To all the shipping container users out there, if you haven't done it yet, upgrade these back stone walls to either metal or HQ. And just to make sure no one splashes through foundations, upgrade the main square in each bunker to armored. If you want to be a real menace, you can even lock these boxes just to make sure that no raiders could even loot them. And before upgrading your roof piece, go ahead and make sure they connect by placing the other one on the opposite side. Sometimes looking up while trying to place in these triangle roof pieces will help, as they are on 2 different layers of the floor stack. For this last roof floor, the middle triangles connected to the metal will be on the lower level of the floor stack, while the outside ones will be on the upper level. They should look like this when finished. Now feel free to add in any extra furnaces, or you can even pick the furnaces up and throw it on a research table. Personally, I like to have a repair bench in my base, so you'll see I use it in lieu of a box. A little drop-down protection. And with all of that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know how your wipe goes using this base. Have a happy new year, and I'll see you guys in the next video.